Hey everybody, so today we are going to be talking about skew of data and then how to choose a measure of center to best describe the data. So the first thing is how data can be skewed. For data to be skewed, it just means that it is drifting off to the right or to the left. This first example you see here is symmetric distribution or balanced data, is where everything looks pretty similar on each side of the center. Data that is skewed to the right is data that where the majority or it's clustered to the left. And then you have a few outliers or a few little pieces of data that are off to the right. In right skewed distribution, the mean is going to be greater than the median. And then in left skewed distribution, that means that our data is clustered more to the right and we have a few pieces of data off to the left, and the mean is going to be lower than the median. All right, an example of what this looks like is we have Maria is deciding she wants to adopt a Yorkshire Terrier mix. So she's looking at some data on the adoption cost for 10 different Yorkies. She created a histogram and also a dot plot of that data. And we see the mean, median, mode, range, interquartile range, and mean absolute deviation for our data. Take a second, pause this video, and note any observations that you have. The things that Maria had noticed is that the line plot and histogram both indicate that $100 is an outlier value, which we can see here. The outliers made the mean adoption cost lower, and that's because this data is skewed left. And the data has two modes, 650 and 800. 650 is closer to the mean and median, and 800 is the highest value. And the range is large, but only for 10 costs. The values are spread out, and that's a pretty large interval since the range is $700. That's a big difference in dog prices for just 10 different dogs. The interquartile range is much smaller. So the interquartile range was, I think, $200, and that indicates that the numbers are clustered around the median. All right, so Maria decides that she's going to use the median of 675 to represent this data. And she's going to do that because whenever we have data that is skewed left or right, the median is going to better represent where the data is clustered, whereas the mean is going to get pulled in the direction of the outliers. And since we don't want something that's misrepresenting the data, we're usually going to use the median to represent data that isn't symmetric or balanced. So let's look at what that means. Take a second, pause this video, and see if you can solve the puzzle on your own. So we have the typical answer to a survey which asks 50 people, what is your favorite ice cream flavor? For that, we would use the mode. The typical home price in a neighborhood that has a few very expensive houses and many inexpensive houses. This is letting me know that we have data that is going to be skewed right. We have some outliers of very expensive houses. So I'm going to want to use the median for that. And the last one, we have the typical number of hours students study per week, where answers range from 3 to 10 and are spread evenly. So for that, I would use the mean. I could also use the median for that, but that's what we're going to want to do. All right, that's it for today.